just imagine I'm John Travolta. There will always be a special place in my heart for the movie musical, and for the songs that create their most memorable moments. Here to perform the Oscar-nominated, gorgeously empowering song Let It Go from the Oscar-winning animated movie Frozen, please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Shape Naruto.
Today I'm gonna read stories about celebrities who are really depressed. This one's called Miley Cyrus High on Shrooms. Miley Cyrus wanted to blow up her life, roll the ashes into a fat blunt, and smoke it. Miley wanted to snort her loneliness like the cocaine she bought off a sketchy guy near the bathroom at the club the other night. Miley wanted to do 6 hits of acid communion style, blindfolded and kneeling on cool marble as a priest placed the strips of paper on her tongue and said, there, child. Everything will be okay now." At least these were the things she thought she wanted before she did 1/8 of mushrooms on the floor of her house with her brother and his friends. Miley Cyrus stared at the wall of the bathroom. It looked alive, like some living biomembrane, like space aliens that connected to their motherships through mucous membranes. Their spaceships bled. Miley bet her wall bled, too. Everything bled. Miley wrapped her arms around her knees and shook. She wished she could disappear into the wall. Miley had tried to throw up earlier, but for once in her life, she couldn't. Nothing would come out. She didn't want to be high anymore. This was a bad idea. This was a really bad idea. She heard someone laugh from the other room and shuddered. How could people eat this stuff and just laugh like nothing was wrong when everything was wrong? Her friends were all like, "Ooh, it'll just be pretty colors and spirit animals." What was wrong with them? Were they broken or something? Was she broken? She couldn't stop touching her face, but every pore and fine blonde hair felt like it didn't belong. She couldn't imagine looking at her cell phone right now. Why was everyone so glued to tiny robots? She decided to never leave the bathroom. Even though the walls were alive, at least nobody would talk to her. She looked down at her trembling limbs. She was wearing a leotard, and that was all. Why did she never wear clothes? She felt wrong, like her entire self-understanding was a lie and she would never be able to escape it. Shame was a fat snake that slithered into her mouth when she was sleeping and started a new life there in her intestines. She knew it didn't make sense, but the most shameful things rarely do. Why did she do these things? Why did she let people see her this way? This wasn't even who she really was. It was just an elaborate costume. She wished she could unzip her skin. She dug her nails into her arms. They said this would be safer. It's safer for nobody to know you. The toilet paper was raised and glowered against the pale purple of the bathroom. She couldn't believe anyone did this for fun. She wanted to be a child again under the covers of her mom's big bed watching old episodes of Frasier. She wanted to be sober. She never wanted to feel like this ever again. Her skin crawled, her stomach was in her throat and swaying like a boat on a stormy ocean. She couldn't stop sweating, but goosebumps rose on her legs like she was cold. She was going to fire her fucking manager. Was she really on The Voice now? She was going to quit drinking, at least for a week. Why did she have to dull her mind all of the time? Was she that afraid of herself? The black and white tile danced and folded back on itself and burned itself into her brain. Someone knocked on the door. She stopped breathing, hoping they would realize nobody was in here and go away. The doorknob jiggled and she started crying. Her tears felt slimy on her cheeks. They went away and she started breathing again. She missed a time in her life that didn't exist, a happier time she hallucinated meaning into in hindsight. She felt so alone. Her parents didn't love her. They treated her like a paycheck. She was back with Liam, but why? The guy never thought about anyone other than himself. She didn't even know why he liked her. He's never said why once. She hated the way her body felt. She turned on the shower and crawled into it. Maybe the scalding water would help. She sat for a few minutes, but the water felt like snakes, and she knew something was hiding in the steam watching her. She turned it off and tried to throw up again. She just wanted to feel normal again. Normal was so fucking underrated. She heard someone laughing from the other room. She hated them. They were evil. And she had to get out of here. She never wanted to see her friends ever again. She stood up on shaky legs, opened the door, and bolted through the all-white house into the Hollywood Hills. The silhouettes of her friends rushed past her periphery. They were fat and sweaty and scaly, like prehistoric reptiles stuffed into a human skin suit one size too small. They would eat her soul if they caught her. She ran faster down the street. Her bare feet were bleeding. She wanted to replace all of her blood with something pure. She wanted to go home. The houses around her were too big and full of so many new fancy things. She can't fucking believe she thought all of this would make her feel more grown up. So the second story I wrote is because all my students in my English 101 class talk about the song Closer by the Chainsmokers. I don't know if any of you have heard that song. You probably have and don't know it. But the refrain is, "We are never getting older," which I think is a really strange philosophical concept that is now the #1 song in America, because we're all getting older and one day we will die. And this song seems to ignore that. And my 18-year-old students love it a lot. And I tried to figure out why. So I wrote a short story based on Closer by the Chainsmokers. Him. He liked standing in the club and watching girls dance. He thought that if you talk to someone alone for over 2 hours without wanting to leave, it must mean you are in love. He wanted to leave now while he waited at the clinic for his girlfriend to finish sucking their baby out of her body. Maybe that's why he started thinking about his ex's hair. It didn't have the right gel. It was always pulled back in the wrong way. One morning, she called him and said that her hair got shorter when she was drunk one night. She said she was too shy to ask anyone about it. She said she liked making up reasons why her hair was shorter. A fairy did it in her sleep. God intervened. The cat did it for her own good. He started laughing, and so did she. His ex liked him too much. She wove a story into his thick eyebrows and unkempt hair that suited her because she was new to this city and poor and wanted to feel safe. She arrived in a Honda Civic without a side mirror. She came from a Mormon family in Boulder, Colorado. Mormons made for the most beautifulest girls. He didn't care for her much then. He thought he wasn't good enough for someone so nice. He met his ex at a pool party, and 30 minutes later, he was pushing her up against the counter at Ridge's dad's house while Thomas Colley graffitied his name all over everything in black spray paint. Tommy, Tommy, Tommy. It's hard to get to know someone, the real things, like who their favorite uncle is and what they do when they feel sad at night, when you have already pushed them up against a wall and tongued them badly in front of all of your friends. It is even harder when you wanted to see the girl for more than just to feel her insides. It was safer for him to never remember the sex he had. If he stayed so drunk that he didn't feel anything, then he couldn't fall in love, and nobody could leave him. His girlfriend walked out of the clinic and he stood. Her eyes were very red. "I couldn't do it," she said. Time felt differently with his ex. That was why he dumped her in the end, because time is one of the only shitty concepts we can rely on. And he missed his routine, his slavery to his routine. When he was with her, time didn't govern his existence. It became irrelevant. It was suspended slightly, like laundry swaying faintly in the breeze. Time had this quality of dissolving completely when you are with someone you simply like. It was in the meeting of her that he realized how many people he didn't really like. The future and the past and his entire identity withered away with her. The whole order of fruiting bodies coming into being and dying halted for a few hours, and he didn't like it. He wanted time. He needed the structure it gave him. It was the only thing he could be certain of. Without it, he didn't know who he was. There was no order in it. It made time feel like a pool he submerged himself in as opposed to a path he walked. And it was strange, but he couldn't feel that way. With her, he was never getting older. Her. Their mutual friend told her that her ex got his new girlfriend pregnant on a rooftop in Williamsburg. So, yeah, he got his girlfriend pregnant and they're staying together, her friend said after she snorted a huge line of ketamine. What timing. She laughed and felt like she was falling over, but in a good way. Later, they went to a bar and she talked to a cute boy and thought about how she was glad a piece of her ex was not growing inside of her and how grateful she was for her freedom to stay out until 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. She touched the cute boy with more urgency as the ketamine wore off. The last time she saw her ex, he was living in a big house in a subdivision in a remote part of Orange County. He was so proud of that fucking house. He rented it when he was still poor, but after his first song hit the dance top 40, It was big and it had a pool, but it was flimsy, like it was made of paper, and it was furnished with mismatched antiques by his mother who lived in Westchester. He hadn't called her in a while, but he invited her to a party. He played house music on shitty speakers that shook the paper house. He greeted her like the last time he talked to her. He did not cry in her arms about just how lonely he was, like he did not say he loved her, and like he did not pretend it never happened in the morning. He kissed both of her cheeks like a European douchebag, told her she looked great, and waited for compliments from her in kind. He was smart and handsome, but she suspected the part of his brain that governed human connection was permanently damaged by MDMA. What was left was a man who claimed he was just fine, and he loved his things, and constantly tried to prove that he knew what he wanted, and he had his shit together in his paper mansion set off from the world. He watched too much Netflix on a 70-inch HDR bought on layaway, and smoked so many dabs that he had rendered himself into a constant state of psychosis, yet somehow convinced himself this was the American dream. Maybe these days it is. Despite all that, it was a pleasant interaction. They had drifted away amicably, and she was proud of herself for that. Even though she liked when he held her hand, despite her bravado, she really was sad about how this baby meant it really was the end for them. She brought the cute boy at the bar home with her, and she traced the tattoo on his chest that read "Champion" in big cursive letters with her finger. He put Bruce Springsteen on his phone and was humming along to the words. She didn't remember his name. There was only one star in the sky. Maybe this universe is layered on top of several others, and time is just a construct we invented to find order in chaos. Maybe one of those universes she is having his baby instead, and he was happier and kinder than he is in this universe. Maybe in one of those universes she was a beloved house cat. Maybe we're all predestined to a certain fate, and she was always meant to be in this bed with this stranger listening to Bruce Springsteen. Or maybe the future wasn't known to anyone. Maybe she would be the first person who never died. Maybe she would be the first person who died 1,000 times. She kissed the cute boy in the temple. She wasn't ever getting older. Thank you.